On this episode, we're going to be reviewing a microbrand that's trying to fuse together the Swiss and German watch design philosophies. In our blueprint segment, we're going to be discussing how Tissot is trying to recapture that revival spirit with their latest collection. And finally, in your viewer comments, we're going to be not just talking more about wipes, but also we're going to be inducting another viewer in the Horological Pirates Hall of Fame. Here at Design Atelier, we are proponents of the truth. Despite what many people may say about me and this channel, we would want to deliver the absolute truth all the time to you. That doesn't happen all the time, but we at least try. If you look at the infomercials that we have with Horology Story, that says a lot of our track record. You decide whether it's a good thing or bad thing. But in an effort to actually tell you the absolute truth about a product and to finally shut all of you babies out there that's telling me that I'm a shield to all of the brands that I'm promoting in this channel, I am going to tell the absolute truth about this product, even though it may hurt the brand itself, even though it is a bad thing. So here we go. We are going to talk about the absolute truth about the Cunucu coffee roasters. Now, the Cunucu coffee roasters is indeed the very best roasted coffee in Aruba and possibly in the universe, but there are some bad things about it. For one, it always runs out. I cannot imagine a coffee that always runs out. Can you imagine a morning when you open this bag? You smell the sweet aroma and then you find out that you only have one brew left. And then you have to wait until Saturday to get that bag of coffee. That is the ugly truth. I wish that there's just an infinite supply of Cunucu coffee roasters at my disposal. That's one. The second ugly truth about the Cunucu coffee roasters is that it costs money. Yes, they're going to tell you, yes, but this is handcrafted, this tastes much better, this tastes much fresher. And yes, all of that is true. And yet, I still need to pay for it. But if this is free, then the heavens will open up and sing together and it will be the greatest coffee of all time. And third one, they have so many different flavors. Which one to choose, I don't know. It's always a dilemma for me. So why even bother buying one when you can buy all of them at the same time? I tried that, but then I ended up drinking coffee 5 times a day. I don't know if that's a good thing, but hey, I don't know. I tried it. Truth be told, I'm still alive, so that's, I guess, a good thing. If you want the very best and the freshest coffee in Aruba and possibly in the universe, that is the Cunucu Coffee Roasters coffee. You know what else this channel is built around? Babies. This host is a big pirate baby. I'm always talking to savage, complaining, watch pirate babies. And let's all admit it, let's be honest, we all like making babies. That's just how it is. Don't question it. That's how it really is. Okay? Now, the good folks at Primitive Hauz are also big proponents of making babies. They asked Papa Rolex and Mama Nomos to make a baby and they created the Timekeeper Type A. Now, is this baby really anything good? Find out if it is. This video is brought to you by Primitive Hauz. Previously known as James and Muriel, Primitive Hauz champions the Bauhaus philosophy of functionality in the absolute simplest direction possible. This familiar watch design is often associated with the likes of Braun and more recently Nomos. They utilize simple sans serif text and appropriate spacing for maximum legibility and visual appeal. Contrary to what most people think, Bauhaus is not simply minimalism. Rather, it's more of a range of design styles aimed at combining form and function. The first function, of course, is to fit the wrist, and this timekeeper can also be called wrist keeper as it fits many wrists easily. With just the right amount of lug distance, there's no overhang for me. This Burgundy Type A has a good strap option as you can swap the bracelet for a nice and soft fabric strap. The texture and surfacing is desirable and it brings a pop of color to your whole attire and not just for the watch. There's a signed buckle to tie the strap to the watch, and it also has a quick release spring bar to keep things even more manageable. The fit between the case and strap is a little bit tight, but it's not an issue at all. As you can see, any other leather strap can also work with the Timekeeper. The colors may clash a bit with this burgundy dial though. I find having a lighter U-less strap works harmoniously with this vibrant dial. This white perforated strap brings a bit of racing personality to the watch, while not taking attention away from the striking face. If you crave a more rugged and outdoorsy feel, a trusty NATO could also work, but you may want to choose your patterns more carefully. Even though it's just a couple of stripes, this fabric still detracts a little bit from its simple aesthetics. Changing back to the bracelet is just a swipe away. It gives it a step up against its very obvious inspiration, the oyster bracelet. Those familiar to Rolex design, you cannot deny that this is lifted straight up from the popular brand's component. The clasp cover and hinge are all very familiar in feel. The only difference is the emblem used and the center link is polished. I can see how many people may be put off by this resemblance. It's really tiptoeing itself against piracy, some may say. But being a watch pirate myself, I bashfully endorse this clasp for the sake of enjoying these features from the crown. I mean, just look at the form and curve profile. The comfort and form is there, but the finish is a tad below Rolex tolerances. But hey, that's considering you're getting a whole watch for the price of a few oyster bracelet links. If you're someone who hasn't experienced the modern oyster clasp, this is as close as you can get to the real deal. I can even say that the luxury experience carries over and adds to the Timekeeper's quality build. Reaping the benefits of Rolex design is not unique to this watch. This quick adjust mechanism, for example, has been used by other brands too. But having it here is a welcome feature considering that bauhaus mentality, something that the brand is built around with. And now let's do something that's probably only a watch pirate would do. Swap these two bracelets around. Would an original oyster bracelet fit the Timekeeper? The answer is yes, kinda. This might just be the only time that you'll see an actual Rolex bracelet installed on the Timekeeper. There's practically no difference at first glance. There's a slight issue with the spring bars and I had to use thinner bars to make this work. The rest is a seamless integration. Bear in mind that the Timekeeper bracelet has a quick release mechanism unlike the Submariner band that's installed here. On my wrist, it feels virtually the same and the visuals are nearly indistinguishable. Now, before Adam Levine and his watch dealer starts calling me up, let's shift our focus on the case. Being one of the more prominent parts of the watch, the case can provide a statement for the overall design. Here, the statement is, give the dial more room to breathe. The bezel accomplishes this by being narrow and polished. The shadows it creates reduces its visual footprint. From the sides, it also helps break up the case with its brushed surface. The polished surfaces once again helps frame the middle of the case, a visual trick of thinness and direction. This alternating surface treatment trickles down to the bracelet within its tapering profile. Underneath the case is oftentimes the place where designers would express themselves more liberally, but here it's rather uneventful. And now for the dial details. It's not the most vibrant red dial I've ever handled, but that sunburst surface really gives it a lively personality. It really lifts all of the bold numerals up. The subdial has its own radial treatment, which is a welcome treat on its own. It utilizes some green scale numbers. These different colors is an actual Bauhaus technique of distinguishing one feature to another. This principle is also applied to the outer scale of the dial, where it's used to not just mark the minutes but also the 24-hour scale. The biggest attention grabber is the double O marker at 12. Primitive Hauz said that they use this to reference the two zeros of the minutes whenever the hour resets back after the 59. I really don't need that explanation, I just like that it's different and yet familiar. At the production sense, all of this printed on features of the dial minimizes the cost of producing these parts, but not at the sacrifice of individuality. And these are also great luminous parts as well. It's a good mix of function and form with little hints of surface eye candy. It's well put together considering it's using relatively easy to manufacture components. This includes the hackable Miyota 82S5 caliber. Hopefully in the future they can use more custom pieces to make their watches stand out even more. But that's just me being a demanding watch pirate baby. Because for the price of $299, you're getting a solid watch on a steel bracelet along with a rubber and NATO strap thrown in the package. You have 5 colors to choose from, and from here lies my small regret. As lovely as this burgundy model was, the other models were a lot more fun to look at, and it really shows off the Bauhaus mentality a lot more. This baby ultimately turned out to be its own creation with a lot of familiar elements with an unbeatable price and amazing playability. The Timekeeper Type A makes a case for a supremely functional timepiece with a not so minimalistic design. And that is the Timekeeper Type A from Primitive Hauz. It's a good fusion of the Rolex Oyster bracelet and all of the goodies and features that comes with it, fused together with the German mentality of Bauhaus on the dial and around the case. It's not a bad attempt. It's actually very fun and playful and flavorful, if you may add, but I truly regret getting this monochromed or single-toned burgundy version. I should have gotten the other ones that's a lot more playful when it comes to colors and segmentations that really shows the Bauhaus principles more strongly than this one. But nevertheless, it's a good effort from Primitive Hauz, and we look forward to other collections that they are developing. Speaking of developments, Tissot has been developing a lot of watches lately, and they seems to be in the mode of reviving their previously successful collections, and one of them is the Sideral. In our blueprint segment, we're going to discuss if the Sideral's collection revival a success or not, because right now there has been some divisiveness regarding that, and there are certain designs from the Sideral that I personally would like to see. 1969 was the year that marked the introduction of the Sideral to the world, a new watch aimed for the young folks, as this vintage ad puts it. Watch pirates know that this is the year of the race to produce the first automatic chronograph, first chronograph to the moon, and the dreaded introduction of the quartz wristwatch. This counter-marketing to horological achievement is geared towards materials manufacturing. The biggest draw is that the Sideral's case is made of fiberglass and can withstand extreme conditions. So this is kinda like the Swiss way of making a G-Shock a full decade before the iconic beater watch was created. There were a few notable models through the years aside from the barrel-shaped original. Tissot developed more cases that mix fiberglass and steel, such as this round model, and square cases were also made. That's very popular back in the 70s with the TB watch trend. And then there's the bullhead chronograph model that I think is the most interesting version of all. This is the most expensive of all the Siderals with its mechanical chronograph caliber and cool interchangeable bezels. Decades later, Tissot has revived this collection much in the line of the successful hit the PRX. Now it's time to grab all 3 models and see what makes these new Siderals an exciting summer lineup. Summer and youthful really, as this truly is the essence of this new Sideral revivals as they focus on the striking colors that takes much of your attention. Holding it on your hand though, it immediately takes your attention with its incredible lightness because of this forged carbon case. And how about that rubber strap? That's a point of contention for many people. It may look too colorful for its own good or less serious for a tool watch, but I assure you all that it's all well secured with its dual fastening system. This rubber strap is very soft and has a very sporty feel with all of its perforated holes. The bezel is equipped functionally, although it may feel subpar if you're used to premium dive bezels offered by Doxa or Seiko. As much as this can be used for diving with its 300-meter water resistance, this is designed to be a regatta timer with its 10-second scale both on the bezel and dial. It's also a lot more fun to look at with all of these colored scales. Fastening the strap is easy with its two-step system. Simply pass the strap through the loop, secure its pin, then stick the second pin on the other end. This really keeps the watch on your wrist and maintains a sleek impression. To further enhance your experience, the quick-release spring bars are also included so you can swap out bands with other Sideral straps or whatever you have in your accessory drawer. These 2023 models are also a great showcase of texture and fusion of materials. Multiple textures can be appreciated on the bezel case, offering a delightful visual experience. This aesthetic charm extends to the perforations and underside of the strap, providing not only breathability for your wrist, but also a beautiful appearance. One of the key features of the Powermatic 80 movement is its impressive power reserve of up to 80 hours, hence the name Powermatic 80. This extended power reserve is achieved by utilizing a high-quality, high-performance mainspring that stores more energy than traditional watch movements. Whether you're looking inside the watch or outside the case, the Sideral has loads of visual flourishes reminiscent of a nostalgic era of sports watches that are now executed using modern techniques and materials. The Tissot Sideral is a remarkable timepiece that combines reliability with visual appeal. It is equipped with the Powermatic 80 Nivachron movement and features a new Tissot skeletonized rotor. This movement showcases the brand's commitment to precision and dependability, ensuring that the watch is always ready for any occasion. It's not just a watch, it is a statement piece that empowers the wearers to express their individuality and stand out from the crowd. With its vibrant aesthetics and distinctive bracelet fastening system, this watch is designed to draw attention and admiration. Now, that may not be what you intend. As much as it's a versatile watch, it may attract the wrong kind of attention when worn on dressier situations. This may be the biggest flaw that's preventing the Sideral from reaching PRX status. Some viewers commented that it looks like a Swatch, something that Tissot may not be offended by since they are owned by Swatch after all. But when it comes to colorful and fun, yet high-tech execution, the Sideral may just be targeting the right audience. I think at this point, Tissot has proven itself to be very good at taking advantage of its strengths and the revival of their previously unique and popular collections such as the PRX and now the Sideral is really taking the brand into a much higher level of enthusiasm and notoriety to the public. The Sideral, however, may not be as popular as the PRX, but it's also another way that Tissot is trying to emphasize the design and the direction of their company, which is targeting the younger audience. And this is a blueprint for making a summer watch. And now it's time for your viewer comments. Let's begin with a G-Shock comment. It's been a while since we made a G-Shock video. We will be making more G-Shock videos in time. It's just that I haven't gotten much hands-on G-Shocks, but I do have one there. I just need to find a battery, the one that Deech gave us. But this comment is talking about that model that I wanted to get, but I think I'm still a little bit short on getting one, but I may be getting one soon. I saw one that's a white version, which is really great. So this comment is from the GAB001 short that I made. Lalit Bati 7157 says, "No loom in indices sucks big time and negative display. Both these reduce its most important function to see time in a glance." Yes, watches needs to be legible. That's the whole point of having a watch. You need to be able to read the time. Even under low light conditions, most dive watches have fantastic loom, or at least those who are trying to be an actual dive watch and not just a dive style watch. But let's step back and look at G-Shock and how it created its watches in the first place. If you look closely at all of the G-Shock's models and design philosophy, they really embrace the quartzness of their watches, meaning that they know that they're battery powered, and most of them have an LED or a light button, and that's part of the design. So when it comes to thinking about lume, they don't really put so much lume on their watches because they know that you can always press a button to light it up. And that's part of its design. You need to press that button to see the time. It may be counterintuitive or even be cumbersome for us to actually press a button. Come on. I mean, like, all you need to do is press a button. But so many of us are so used in the mechanical side of things that we just turn our wrist and you see the time, even under low light conditions. But here's something to keep in mind. That lume that you have can only last so long. If you look at your watch, in general, during low light conditions, even with great lume, it's not going to be the lume that you're going to see. It's the contrast of the watch and its indices. Sometimes the lume stays there, but it's not going to stay there for long. So, in essence, G-Shock may have a one-up to that because you can always press the button at any point of time and it will light up. If it doesn't have a battery, then why are you using your G-Shock in the first place? Second, there's a function of many G-Shocks now that it's the EL display. So when you turn auto light, rather, that's my EL, yeah, EL or auto light. When you turn your certain G-Shocks, when you turn your wrist, it just lights up on its own, and that could, counteract that feeling that you lost by having such a lume. And another one to keep in mind, the third one, is that some G-Shocks now are getting lume. Say, for example, that new Frogman, that MRG Frogman, it has actual lume on its indices. So maybe G-Shock is catching on, but if you look at the history of their watches, they want you to press that button to light up. Next, Martin Wayden 40 says, stop having such a negative vibe. Vibe? You are very negative. Go get a laugh movie or something like that. A laugh movie. Is it a movie that I should laugh at, or is it a comedy? Look, no movie can give me optimism. Or maybe there are some. Let's be honest on that. But it's very rare that it could give me optimism. And I'm not so negative. Come on. I mean, like, where should I place myself? Many people would say, hey, you don't talk about negative stuff about your watches. You just talk about the good stuff. You're a commercial. You're a shield to the companies. And now here's someone that's, I'm too negative. Or maybe because I'm criticizing both Omega and Tudor in the Omega and Tudor watch video that I made. Well, but it's true. Those are valid criticisms, are they not? I'm not overly negative. If you compare me to other channel hosts out there, they really bash the watch. I'm actually pretty generous. So I'm a generous pirate. I'm not so negative, so I disagree. Oh, and Martin Wayden 40, you're banned from the show. MDV69 says about the 5 alternative to Tudor Royal 2020. Go buy a Rolex as alternative? Yeah, sure. Okay, now who's negative? I think MDV69 is negative. Maybe Martin Wayden 40 should criticize MDV69 because he is much more negative than I am. And okay, let's address what he is saying here. In that Tudor video that I made years ago, I said that the Rolex, what's it called? The Rolex Datejust, the fluted bezel, is an alternative to the Tudor Royal. So In that video, I clearly said that if we are to compare the Tudor Royal on what it's trying to imitate or trying to reference, it's the actual Datejust from Rolex. So, by hindsight, getting a pre-owned or an old Datejust would be an alternative to the Tudor Royal if you couldn't get the Tudor Royal. At that time, you couldn't get the Tudor Royal, but now it's fairly available everywhere. And at the same time, I wasn't talking about its price range. Yes, I acknowledge that the Datejust is twice as much that would cost you to get a Tudor Royal. But it's an alternative nonetheless. It's a choice nonetheless because it looks too similar. But again, I also would like to admit that yes, probably MDV69 here is trying to hint at people's general mentality when it comes to alternatives. Alternatives, first and foremost, when you say alternative, the first thing that comes to mind, us watch pirates, is that we want an alternative for the money that we're going to spend or drop on this particular watch. So that's where MDV69 might be trying to say here, or trying to scoff at me and saying, yeah, sure. No. But anyway, who's negative here? Martin Waden might probably get along with MDB69. I can only imagine the conversation that they'd be having. Noel926 says of the last episode, I can attest to the success of your product. It netted me $1.35. That's 1 cent per follicle, using this device on my father when I was 7 years old. Yes, he was talking about the horology story follicle extractor. And yeah, many people can relate to that. I myself, for example, have used this device for such a long time, even before horology story came into picture. And Tita Emeng, kung nanonood ka, alam mo kung anong sinasabi ko dito right now. Alam mo kung anong tinutukoy ko. But anyway, I have fond memories of that. No. However, at least he earned money here. I didn't. I was just asked, hey, I need to get less here on this part. And then I just, complied. Wamai says about the best skin diver under $1,000, which is the Wise skin diver or Wise Adamascus. The bracelet transition was mint. Okay, thank you so much. You like that? Well done, my friend. Also, thanks for the visual on a bracelet. Confirmed my purchase from Wise based solely on that. Cheers. Okay, so actually, I sold him in 2 watches here. The Wise Adamascus, the AD8, and the Spearfish from Zelos. Or probably he already has a Zelos Spearfish and then he pulled the trigger on this one, which is a real solid combination. I still have the skin diver. Sadly, I don't have the Zelos Spearfish anymore. That went to a very good home. But nevertheless, the Wise Adamascus is really the best watch that Wise has to offer. Of course, they're going to contend and say, yeah, no, we have better watches coming. The Flyboy, I asked them to send me the Flyboy. I wanted to review that, but so far they haven't replied to me. But if you want an actual full bracelet Adamascus, you should be getting the AD9. What I have here is the AD8, and so far they haven't released a full 904L steel bracelet for the AD8. They have that now for the AD9. So if you want to try that out, you may want to try that next version of the Adamascus. We've tried out like so many Adamascus here. I still have one there to review. I think that's the Adamascus bronze, so stay tuned for that. But yes, Wamai, you will not regret making this purchase. Mike Smith, ER1QS, says, a little disappointed. This was a commercial, not a review. He's talking about the Venetianico narrated tungsteno anthracite. Okay. Now, this is not a new comment to me. Many people have commented it before. This is not a review. This is a commercial. Let's try and differentiate the two. Whenever people are saying this is a commercial, actually they might be referring to it as an advertisement. No, there's a difference between an advertisement and marketing. Okay, marketing, in hindsight, is really spreading the word about the brand. Now, what these microbrands are trying to do when they send you the watch, and sometimes I keep them, like that's what I require from microbrands also. When I talk to them, I negotiate that I need to keep the watch. It helps fund the channel, and at the same time, it's also more cost effective because it's costly to ship here to Aruba and ship back, unless if it's a really costly watch, which I also have done before. But this is part of marketing when it comes to these microbrands. They really send these watches for you to review, or for us YouTubers to review, because it spreads the word about their product. Now, most, if not all, YouTubers want to say the most unbiased opinion about these products, and I too try to do that. But that's just one aspect of the marketing. It's the brands accepting the fact that their products going to be heavily criticized by certain YouTubers, and they accept that because it's still part of marketing. It's still a marketing strategy from their brand. But a commercial or an advertisement is a totally different thing. An advertisement is something that's delivered, or most of the time concocted or composed by the brand itself to spread the word about their product, and this mainly are positive things. Now, I am not in any way related to Venezianico or any other microbrand. Well, that's about to change in a drastic way, but we'll get there. But that does not qualify me as an advertiser or a person that made this into a commercial. It just looks like it's a commercial for the brand. I don't know, maybe I could take this as a compliment, because maybe the quality looks like it's a commercial for the brand. And then if that's the case, then I would take that as a compliment, and I really strive to deliver the very best quality that I could. But it is not a commercial, it's just part of marketing. And also, I say bad things about the brands too, or about the products too, if I find them to be there. If I find that the product is overly bad for my point of view, from my designer's eye, if I may proudly say so, then I wouldn't review the product itself. I have refused reviewing certain watches before, but I don't need to mention them. I don't need to talk about them, because if I see that there's just bad stuff in this product, then I'm not gonna enjoy reviewing that product, and you're not gonna enjoy me bashing that product. It's sensational, yes. I may get like some more clicks about it, but this is not about clicks. This is about a proper educational point of view of a certain product. And I think I delivered that with a narrator. If not, you tell me. Mike Smith, maybe you can tell your side of the story. Let me know. You're not banned from the show. Nizar Murer is another viewer that's always been waiting for that Venezianico review that I'm going to release. And not only that, but he's actually commenting on many of my videos, and I really appreciate that, Nizar. And before we go to your comment, I would like to officially induct you to the Horological Pirate Hall of Fame as one of its members for your dedicated and honest commendations all the time. And you don't agree with me all the time, but you're honest and you always try and give a comment on many of my videos. And I truly salute you for that. You are now part of the Horological Pirate Hall of Fame. Now, to your comment. Dear Jason, I believe that you are my therapist. Thank you, but I'm still not paid as a therapist, mind you. Now, I have no doubt that you are my psychologist too, and a great one. Okay, that's another occupation that I'm being included to by Nizar. But here's what really got me. Please, get some experience with Arab wives who hate watches of their husbands and one day will kick him out of home. With love and appreciation, Nizar from Israel. Yes, as much as I would like to experience an Arab wife, I think that's illegal. And not to mention that I still have a wife, which makes it illegal. And I cannot comply with what Nizar is trying to suggest here. But Nizar, if you have an Arab wife, I salute you. I commend you for still being alive despite such, because I know that you love watches and you also love your wife. It's a very uneasy way of existence, and it truly takes a man to endure two hardships like that. Nizar, we salute you. Next comment. Clay Cox 5285 says, great video. I need help. He's talking about that video about wives again. So I asked him, what do you need help from? Tell me where it hurts, matey. That's what I asked. And then he replied, the lies, the deception, the empty bank account. Stop this insanity. Yes. Clay Cox has realized that he cannot lie anymore. And our service is of no use to him anymore either. So he decides to just stop it and just accept that he's broke, and for him to save his sanity. If I'm not mistaken, maybe Clay Cox here is Anthony Ferrer impersonating someone else. But for all we know, it's probably true. But here's the thing about watch collecting. We must accept the truth. We cannot collect everything that we want to, but we need our wives as much as possible. So some people try to fuse the two principles together, like instead of collecting watches, they collected wives, but that's a totally different subject that I would not try and dive into. But let's just be honest. We cannot lie all the time. You shouldn't lie at all, actually. Well, there are certain cases that you may need to misdirect, but no, in all seriousness, we don't want to lie, especially about watches. So, okay, let's just draw the line there. There's no more humor here. This is serious talk, or this is something that I really think when it comes to my watch collecting. Watch collecting really should be just a hobby. Wives take priority. Family take priority. Wives take priority. That's where it's supposed to be at. You're not gonna be happy in life with your watch collection. You cannot marry your watch collection for that matter. And we men, we need women. We need them. That's just the truth. That's how we are created. And we love women, we love our wives, we work hard for them. That's just natural. Okay? So stop with the insanity, stop with the lies, just tell them the truth. They'll understand. And sometimes they don't need to understand either. They just need to know that, hey, I have a loving man that's supporting me, that's supporting my family, and that's good enough for them. And they're happy with that. They're happy to help us. They're happy to care for us, care for our children, care for the family. And that's how the way of life goes. Watch collecting has been around for just what? A few decades, right? If all we know, it wasn't like a big thing back in the previous centuries. But us loving wives, men loving wives, has been around since the dawn of man. Since God created man. So why break that, right? Love your wives. Tell them the truth. Nothing is much more satisfying than that. It's more satisfying than watch collecting. Believe me. Melvin Ramirez, 4790. My wife told me she's going to buy me one luxury watch in order for me to stop buying watches for good. Lucky me. Thanks for another great content. Okay, back to the wife discussion. This is actually the dream of all husbands, because not only are they going to get a free luxury watch, but now they have an excuse whenever they're collecting, because now they can blame their wives who started the collection. Of course, you can admit, or you can tell yourself that I've been collecting long before my wife bought me the luxury watch. But hey, whenever you're talking about that to your friend and to your beer buddies, my wife started me with watch collecting, it just feels so satisfying. Melvin Ramirez, we salute you too. Dr. Bob's Nightmare 2521 says, your kitchen is always so clean. I'm starting to think it's a green screen. We're all about truth in this channel, Dr. Bob's Nightmare. And again, you have another YouTube profile picture there. I mean, I think this is Dr. Bob's Nightmare, not collecting watches. It's changing picture profiles in YouTube. Is that even possible? I thought you couldn't change that after a few days, but he's been changing it for like almost every day. I don't know. And you know, we're all about the truth here. What you see there, that's an actual kitchen. Okay. Okay. Let me show you. You know how this is done. Maybe I need to like bring the mic. Okay, there we are. So you see, that's the actual kitchen right there. Right? You could see our espresso machine right there, and this is like an improvised Nespresso coffee pod holder. You know, I bought that from the hardware store. It's really just a clip. That's the espresso menu if you wanted to make a specific coffee that you want. I did this for my kids, and I'm fairly sure they're not even using this anymore. They're just like, you know, popping coffee on there. We have avocados right now. I try to hide everything as much as possible, and of course, you know, my wife always keeps this clean. You know, she's so good at that. I have some OCD, but sometimes, like, I know, I get away with things. And this backsplash, that's an actual Amazon backsplash. You know, you could buy these for like $100 for 10 plates. I think I used like 1.5 on this one, and it was fun. I installed that myself. I actually designed the kitchen. I'm pretty proud of that. You know, this actually has a cover too. I could cover this when I want to. Wait, should I demonstrate that? Maybe I should. One moment. Yeah, and then that's the induction cooker. We bought these from the Chinese. Oh my goodness, I need to repaint that the wall there. Those are the 3 main oils that we use all the time. You know, we're so Asian. Sesame, olive, and soy sauce. It's a cheap oven. We actually bought that like on a discount. Anyway, so there you go, Dr. Bob's Nightmare. Okay, and now it's time for Mr. Zilos. Wouldn't your hair grow anyway, regardless? The promotion confuses me. As for pulling hair out of one at a time, forget it. Life is too short. I think Outtakes would do better not naming their watches after deadly spiders. I hate spiders. I'm just not feeling their design still, but that's just me. One watch collection is a myth. It's a silly concept. Even the one watch I continually label in my collection as nearly perfect, the Tudor Pelagos, still won't fulfill every situation. One needs multiple watches. Not the most entertaining channel? Bite your tongue, sir. We are all very, very entertained. As pirate number one, I am very entertained. Thank you, Mr. Zilos, and that is all for our show today. Tonight. See you next time. Here in Horology Story, no, not Horology Story, this is Design Atelier. What am I going? What am I saying? This channel, here at Design Atelier, we are proponents of the truth. We want to say, whoa! And that is a Timekeeper Type A from